ಹೃದಯಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಗಮನಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ವಚನಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಚರಿತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ವಸನಂ ಮಧುರಂ ವಲಿತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಚಲಿತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಭ್ರಮಿತಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಪಾಣಿರ್ಮಧುರಃ ಪಾದೌ ಮಧುರೌ ನೃತ್ಯಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಸಖ್ಯಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಂ ಪೀತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಭುಕ್ತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಸೂಕ್ತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ರೂಪಂ ಮಧುರಂ ತಿಲಕಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ತರಣಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಹರಣಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಸ್ಮರಣಂ ಮಧುರಂ ವಮಿತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಶಮಿತಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಾಲಾ ಮಧುರಾ ಯಮುನಾ ಮಧುರಾ ವೀಚಿ ಮಧುರಾ ಸಲಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಕಮಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಲೀಲಾ ಮಧುರಾ ಯುಕ್ತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮುಕ್ತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ದೃಷ್ಟಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಶಿಷ್ಟಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಗಾವೋ ಮಧುರಾ ಯಷ್ಟಿರ್ಮಧುರಾ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿರ್ಮಧುರಾ ದಲಿತಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಫಲಿತಂ ಮಧುರಂ
ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇರಖಿಲಂ ಮಧುರಂ ಮಧುರಾಧಿಪತೇ
मधुरं वदनं मधुरं नयनं मधुरं हसितं मधुरं हृदयं मधुरं गमनं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्
वचनं मधुरं चरितं मधुरं वसनं मधुरं वलितं मधुरं चलितं मधुरं भ्रमितं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्
वेणुर्मधुरो रेणुर्मधुरः पाणिर्मधुरः पादौ मधुरौ नृत्यं मधुरं सख्यं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्
गीतं मधुरं पीतं मधुरं भुक्तं मधुरं सुप्तं मधुरं रूपं मधुरं तिलकं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्
हरणं मधुरं तरणं मधुरं हरणं मधुरं स्मरणं मधुरं वमितं मधुरं शमितं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्
कुञ्जा मधुरा माला मधुरा यमुना मधुरा वीथी मधुरा सलिलं मधुरं कमलं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरं मधुराधिपतेरखिलं मधुरम्
गोपी मधुरा लीला मधुरा युक्तं मधुरं मुक्तं मधुरं दृष्टं मधुरं शिष्टं मधुरम्
मधुराधिपते
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मनु मुकुरु सुधारी बरनउ रघुबर विमल जसु जोदायक फलचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपीसति लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज संवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सकै कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर है सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु, लील्योताहि मधुर फल जानू। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय महडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूरति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय।
Jai Shri Krishna. In Zoom meeting, if you want to turn off the notification of Zoom chats, then click on the chats and then click on these three dots. Turn off notifications, click on that. Click on the mute option and now chats notification will not disturb you. Jai Shri Krishna.
सच्चिदानंद संस्थापकं वीरम् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्।
Jai Shri Krishna. Seeking the blessings of Yogeshwara Krishna and our Gurus, let me, Mala Narayanan, at the outset bow down to all our Gurus, especially Param Pujya Swami Guru Govind Dev Girji Maharaj. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. A warm welcome to all the sadhaks who have joined us for interpretation session of chapter 17, Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. We all are really blessed to be associated with Gita Pariwar as we get to know the meanings of shlokas in weekly Vivechan Satras. Before the session starts, let me request you to pay attention to me. Let's start our session with a prayer, which is considered to be an integral part of our culture, and it's an expression of our devotion. And the Manjula Didi from Bangalore is going to recite Prarthana. Didi is giving Seva as group coordinator, core trainer, mentor, and examiner. She joined Gita Pariwar in 2022. Let's invoke the blessings of Lord Krishna. Manjula Didi, please.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. Jai Shri Krishna.
Thank you, Didi, for that melodious prayer. Now it's time for Deepa Prajwalan. Deepa Jyoti Parabrahma, Deepa Sarva Tamopaha, Deepena Sadhyate Sarvam, Sandhya Deepo Namostute. Today, Anubha Bhargavaji Didi is doing the honors. Didi is from Mumbai. Didi joined Gita Pariwar in 2021 and is giving Seva as examiner, check and trainer. Anubha Didi, please.
निषिद्धैरप्येभिर्लुलितमकरन्दो मधुकरैः करैरिन्दोरन्तश्छुरित इव सम्भिन्नमुकुलः विधत्तां सिद्धिन्नो नयनसुभगामस्य सदसः प्रकीर्णः पुष्पाणां हरिचरणयोरञ्जलिरयम् शरदिन्दुनिभां शुभ्रवस्त्रैरलङ्कृतां कलहंसकृतावासां वरदां शारदां नुमः वरदां शारदां नुमः.
Thank you, Didi, for a devotional and beautiful Deepa Prajwalan. And now our Zoom platform is ready for Vivechan. I would like to inform all the participants that you may ask questions once the Vivechan is over. Raise your hands only after the session is over, please. Please make a note that the next new L1 batch is starting on August 7. Please share the link of this Vivechan to your loved ones. Please do watch Gita Sevi program and learn the varied sevas you can give. Share the link that I have said. Yeah. Now it's time for the most anticipated part of the session. Our Vivechak is going to dwell into show off versus sincerity. Are your good deeds actually counting? Our speaker for the day is Vikas Vaidya ji from Pune. Vikas ji is a mechanical engineer with PGDBM. Bhaiya has traveled the world over and was an NRI for 12 years. He owns a small IT company. He is a multilinguistic with knowledge of Hindi, Marathi, English, Indonesian, Malaysian, and Spanish languages. He has been reciting all 18 chapters of Gita daily for the last 7 years. Bhaiya is a trainer for all levels and involved in trainers selection and training them. He is also involved in teaching and Vivechan of Vishnu Sahasranamam as a member of Gita Pariwar. Vikas ji also gives guidance to Gita Pratis to prepare for Sringeri Pit Gita exam. Bhaiya himself has received first prize at the hands of Param Pujya Jagat Guru Shankaracharya of Sringeri. Today, Vikas Bhaiya is going to deal with the second part of 17th chapter, Shraddhatraya Vibhaga. Over to you, Bhaiya.
Jai Shri Krishna. A warm welcome to all of you. Shraddhatraya Vibhaga Yoga. God is telling us 3 types of Shraddhas, and they are effective in all parts of our life, including our ahar also. Last time we concluded with shlok. Aharastavi sarvasya trivido bhavati priyaha yajnastapastadhadanam tesham bhedamimam shruno. Ahar, yajna, tapa, dan, everything is of 3 types. God will start the discussion with ahar first, eating first. So next shloka, 8th shloka. आयुसत्वबलारोग्य सुखप्रीतिविवर्धनाः रस्य स्निग्धस्थिरहृद्या आहार sattvic-priyaः. Ayu is lifespan. Our longevity is Ayu. Sattva is purity, clarity, or serenity of mind. It's the Sattva. Bala is our physical strength and vitality. Arogya we know. Good health is Arogya. Sukha is happiness, of course. Priti is joy, contentment. Vivardhana, those which increase or promote this. Snigdha, containing healthy natural oils, soothing, like our ghee. Sthira, stable, sustaining energy for a long time is Sthira. Hridaya is pleasing to heart and mind. And ahara is our what food we eat. Sattvika-priyaha is liked by the Sattvic people. So God says, foods that increase the longevity, purity of mind, strength, health, and happiness and satisfaction, that are juicy, nourishing, wholesome, pleasant, and agreeable to heart, are dear to the people of Sattvic nature. So Sattvic people like this kind of food. So after explaining that a person's faith is shaped by 3 gunas, Sat, Parajotamo, which is Prakriti's 3 gunas, Lord Krishna begins the discussion now, describing how even our food, what we eat, our food, it reflects and influences our inner nature. This shloka introduces the characteristics of Sattvic food. Next 2 shlokas will explain Rajasi food and Tamasi food. So according to Bhagavad-gītā, food is much more than fuel for the body. It directly affects our thoughts, our emotions, and our spiritual progress. The ancient saying that as is the food, so is the mind. जैसा आप खाना खाते हैं वैसे आपके विचार होते हैं. It captures this principle. Sattvic food promotes long life, Ayu, by nourishing the body naturally. It strengthens immunity and helps maintain good health, Arogya. Such food also builds physical strength, Bala, without making the body sluggish or overstimulated. Equally important is its effect on the mind. Sattvic food enhances clarity, Sattva, bringing calmness, patience, and emotional balance. It increases happiness, Sukha, and contentment, Priti, reducing unnecessary cravings and restlessness. Lord Krishna describes Sattvic food as Rasya, fresh and naturally juicy. That is Sattvic food. Snigdha, wholesome and nourishing. Sthira, providing sustained energy. And Hridaya, pleasant and satisfying. These qualities point towards food that is fresh, clean, moderately prepared, and easily digestible. That is important, easily digestible. Examples of this sattvic food includes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, pulses, milk, yogurt, nuts, seeds, and freshly cooked meals prepared with love and moderation. This is also equally important. Food should be prepared with love and moderation. The emphasis is not merely on ingredients, but also on its freshness, purity, moderation, and the attitude with which the food is prepared and is consumed. Bhagavad Gita does not advocate fanatism or rigid dietary rules like some dietitians do today. Rather, it teaches us to observe how different foods influence our body and our mind as well. Food that leaves us energetic, peaceful, cheerful is generally sattvic food. For a spiritual devotee, we are all that on that path. Diet becomes a form of self-discipline. Eating is a self-discipline. A pure diet supports meditation, dhyan. It supports concentration and control over the senses, indriya nigraha. Just as clean food enables an engine to run smoothly, clean fuel, I mean, the wholesome food enables the body and mind to function harmoniously. Ultimately, this shloka reminds us that spirituality begins with everyday choices that we make. Every meal is an opportunity to nourish not only the body, but also the mind and soul. So before we eat anything, we should think, is it going to nourish my body and my soul both? By choosing sattvic food, we cultivate health, we cultivate inner peace, and a life aligned with higher values of life, making it easier to progress on the path of Atma-Dhyan, self-realization. Because spiritually, we have to sit for dhyan. If you eat sattvic food, you will be more focusing your mind when you are doing dhyan meditation. So this was all about the sattvic food. Now what is the rajasic food? Next loka. Katvam lalavana atyushna tikshna ruksha vidahinah ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shoka maya pradaha. Foods that are excessively bitter, sour, salty, very hot, pungent, dry, and burning are liked by people of rajasic nature. Unfortunately, many of us like this. Such foods ultimately lead to pain, sorrow, and disease. Having described the qualities of sattvic food, Lord Krishna now explains the nature of rajasic food. Rajas is the quality of activity, always active, rajasic people. Ambition, some passion, excitement, and restlessness. These are the characteristics of rajasic people. People influenced by rajas, they naturally develop a preference for food that strongly stimulate the senses, because they want to keep their senses all the time very active. So they eat the food that keeps that stimulate their senses. Shri Krishna mentions foods that are excessively bitter, sour, salty, hot, spicy, dry, and sometimes irritating. The key word here is excessively. The Gita does not condemn spices or flavorful foods. Rather, it cautions against overindulgence in foods that overstimulate the body and the mind. So, rajasic foods may provide immediate pleasure and excitement. They awaken the senses, increase appetite, and may temporarily boost the energy also. However, this stimulation is often followed by fatigue, irritability, craving, or discomfort. Acidity हो जाती है ना हमको. Such foods can disturb digestion, increase acidity, cause inflammation, and contribute to various health problems. And Shri Krishna says that eventually produce dukkha. When all these things happen, definitely dukkha will happen, no? physical sufferings will take place. Shoka, mentally unrest is shoka, and amaya. Amaya means disease. The teaching also extends beyond food. In a broader sense, anything consumed through senses. So this food is important, but anything consumed by our senses is also food for those senses, including our entertainment, our social media, conversations that we make, even excessive work can be rajasic if it constantly excites the mind without providing lasting peace. Just as the over spicy food, it disturbs our stomach. Excessive sensory stimulation disturbs the mental balance. Watching movies on Netflix late in night is definitely spoiling us, our health. We are not eating anything, but we are putting food, rajasic food to our eyes and eventually to our mind. For a spiritual aspirant, a restless mind becomes an obstacle to meditation and self-reflection. Rajasic food tends to increase impatience, impulsiveness, anger, and emotional fluctuations. How can this mind be stable then? Therefore, moderation in diet becomes an important aid in cultivating inner tranquility. This shloka especially is relevant in today's time, when fast food, highly processed snacks, sugary beverages, and excessively spicy meals are widely consumed. People go to Pizza Hut, eat different types of pizzas, and take Coca-Cola. All rajasic. You might like it, but it is all rajasic. While such foods may satisfy the tongue for a few moments, regular overconsumption often affects both physical health and emotional well-being. The message of this shloka is not one of prohibition, कि उसको टच मत करिए, but of balance and awareness. The Bhagavad Gita encourages us to ask not merely, does this taste good, but also, will this nourish my body, calm my mind, and support my higher purpose? By choosing food with moderation and with wisdom, we gradually reduce the influence of rajas and move towards a healthier, happier, and more peaceful life. So rajasic food once in a while is okay, but should not be getting overindulged into it. This was about rajasic food. Now tamasic food. Next shloka 10th. Yatayamangadarasam poti parishitain chayat uchishtamavichamedhyam bhojanam tamasapriyam. Yatayamam, food that has been cooked long before, bahut ghante ho gaye. Stale food that has lost its freshness, that is yatayamam. Gatarasam, devoid of natural taste, flavor, or nutritive essence of it. Puti is foul smelling, beginning to decay. Parishitam, overkept, fermented unintentionally, stale due to passage of time, that is parishitam. Uchishtam, leftover food, already eaten from or contaminated by other person's saliva, is that uchishtam. Amedhyam, impure, unhygienic, unfit for offering or for consumption. Bhojanam is food, of course. Tamasa priyam, it is dear to people who are dominated by quality of tamas. So Shri Guru Bhagavan says, food that is stale, tasteless, putrid, decomposed, leftover, or impure is dear to people of tamasic nature. In this shloka, Shri Krishna completes his description of all three varieties of food, all three kinds of food, by explaining the nature of tamasic food. If sattvic food promotes clarity and health, rajasic food stimulates activity and restlessness, tamasic food, it increases inertia, ignorance, dullness, and carelessness. Shri Krishna describes his characteristics of tamasic food in this shloka. It is stale, yatayamam, having remained for too long after cooking. It is devoid of natural taste and vitality, gatarasam, because its freshness and nutritional value have diminished. It may be putrid, puti, or spoiled, parushitam, indicating the beginning of decay. It may also be leftover, uchishtam, after someone has eaten from it, or impure because it is unclean or unfit for consumption. So the deeper message is not merely about food hygiene, but about the effect of food on our consciousness. Fresh food contains vitality and supports alertness, while stale, impure food often makes the body feel heavy and mind lethargic. We experience it many times. A tamasic diet can encourage laziness, confusion, negligence, and lack of enthusiasm for noble action. This teaching is remarkably relevant today. Regular consumption of stale food, unhygienic street food, as I said, pizzas and burgers, improperly stored meals, or highly processed food with little natural nourishment can negatively affect the physical health. More importantly, such eating habits often reflect a careless attitude towards our own well-being. At the same time, the Bhagavad Gita does not recommend rigidity. Modern refrigeration allows food to be preserved safely for practical reasons. The emphasis is more on cleanliness, freshness, wholesomeness, and suitability, not on unnecessary waste. Don't waste the food. Gita doesn't say you waste the food, throw it. Food stored hygienically and consumed within a safe time limit is different from food that is genuinely spoiled or contaminated. So this shloka also carries a symbolic lesson for us. Just as stale food weakens the body, stale thoughts, outdated prejudices, resentment, and negative emotions, they weaken our mind, and they all come because of this stale food. Spiritual growth requires freshness, not only in our meals, but also in our attitude and our outlook. For every devotee like us, every meal is an opportunity to cultivate mindfulness and gratitude, sajakta and kritagnyata. Preparing food with love, maintaining cleanliness, offering it to God before eating, and consuming it with moderation, it transforms eating into a spiritual practice. Bhagavad Gita focuses more on this, how you can convert every action of yours into spiritual practice. Thus, Lord Shri Krishna teaches that purity in food, it contributes to purity of mind. And purity of mind becomes foundation for wisdom, for devotion, bhakti, and ultimately Atma-Jnana, self-realization. So food is that important. Now, what is sattvic food? Sattvic food we have seen. Now, the next discussion will go on the yajna. What I said in the earlier shloka that ahara sarvasya trivido bhavati priya yajnas tapastadana. Now, ahara has been described. Now, God will explain about the yajna. Sattvic yajna. How is sattvic yajna? Afalakankshiviryajnyo vididrushto ya ijjate yashtavyameveti manas samadhaya sattvikaha. Afalakangshivi. This is important word. By those who have no desire for the fruits or reward of their action. Afalakankshivir. Yajna is the sacrifice, worship, or selfless offering that we make. Vididrushta. Perform according to scriptural injunctions or prescribed rules. Ijjate is performed or is worshipped. Yashtavam. It ought to be performed. It is one's duty. Kartavya karma. Mana is mind. Samadhaya, having firmly resolved, fixed, or concentrated. Saha means that. Sattvika is sattvic, born out of purity and goodness. So Shri Bhagavan says, a sacrifice, that means a yajna performed according to scriptures by those who seek no personal reward, who firmly believe that this is my duty and I am performing my duty, full stop. This is considered sattvic. After describing the three kinds of food, now Lord Shri Krishna applies the same principle of three gunas, sat, rajo, tamo, to yajna, sacrifice or worship. Gita says yajna means you perform your kartavya karma, you are performing a yajna. So here he explains what makes a sattvic yajna. In Vedic tradition, yajna originally referred to that sacred fire rituals. Agni, you offer something in that Agni, that yajna. However, in the broader teachings of Bhagavad Gita, yajna includes every selfless action performed as an offering to the God. You are serving your parents without expectation, you are doing a yajna. And for the welfare of society. So serving one's family with love, helping the needy, protecting the nature, teaching knowledge, and performing one's professional duties honestly can all become forms of yajna. So we have the opportunities to perform yajna every day in our day-to-day activities. But they should be done in the right spirit. The first characteristics of sattvic yajna is absence of desire, afala kangshavi. The performer does not think, what will I get in return if I do this kartavya karma? Will the father write his property in my name? Instead, the action itself is considered sacred. Serving my parents is my duty, moral duty. I'm doing it, that's all. Such a person understands that results belong to God, while sincere efforts is his or her responsibility. Afalakankshi. That was the first characteristic. Second characteristic is that yajna is performed according to scriptural guidance, vididrishta. This means that it is done with proper understanding, proper discipline, sincerity, and respect for ethical principles, not according to personal whims and fancies or superstitions. Then third characteristic is attitude expressed in the words yashtavemiva. This ought to be done. Yashtavemiva. The performer acts because it is the right thing to do, not because it will bring praise to him or recognition to him or material benefits to him. He is doing it because it ought to be done. Duty becomes an expression of devotion rather than an obligation. If you are serving your parents, you are not doing any favors to them. You are performing your duty. It's not an obligation. So this teaching has immense relevance in today's daily life. A doctor who treats patients with compassion, a teacher who educates children sincerely, a parent who cares for family lovingly, or a volunteer who serves society quietly are all performing sattvic yajna. Thousands of Gita Pariwar Karyakartas are performing sattvic yajna. They don't expect anything. They don't want people to sing their praises. If they act without selfish motive, then. A beautiful modern example is that of a person who anonymously donates books to a village library. He will donate, but he will say, don't give my name. He does not seek publicity or expect gratitude. His joy lies in knowing that children will benefit from the knowledge. Such service purifies the heart and becomes a true yajna. Lord Shri Krishna teaches us that the value of an action lies not merely in what is done, but in the intention behind it. When actions are performed selflessly, according to righteousness, and with the firm conviction that they are an offering to the divine, they elevate the mind, purify the heart, and lead the seeker steadily towards spiritual growth and inner peace. These are all the tips which we should take and inculcate in our daily life so as to go ahead on the path of spirituality. Now, what is Rajasi Yajna? Next loka. Avisandhaya tu phalam dambhartha vipjaiva yat ijjate bharata shreshta tanyajnam viddhi rajasam. Avisandhaya, having in mind with the intention of obtaining something. That is Avisandhaya. Phalam is the fruit reward of your karma, your action. dambhartham, for hypocrisy, show, display of one's greatness is dambhartham. Cha evo, and indeed, ijjate is to be performed, is to be offered. Bharata Shrestha is of course Arjuna. Tam, that yajnam, sacrifice, worship or selfless act that we do with the know it, understand it, rajasam, to be rajasic, born out of quality of passion and attachment, rajasi. Shri Bhagavan explains what is rajasic yajna. Oh, best of Bharata, that means Arjuna, Bharata Shrestha, know that the sacrifice, that means the yajna, which is performed with expectation of reward or for the sake of display and prestige, is rajasic. In earlier shloka, Lord Shri Krishna described sattvic yajna, which is performed as a sacred duty without expecting any personal reward. In this shloka, he explains the characteristics of rajasic yajna, where the action may appear noble outwardly, but it is driven by some selfish motive within. You are helping somebody, apparently it is sattvic karma, sattvic yajna, but you are expecting something in return. It makes it rajasic. You are helping an old man, opening the door of a lift, expecting a thanks from him, is also rajasic. So two main features of rajasic yajna are desire for results, phalam, and desire for recognition, dambha. A person performing rajasic yajna constantly thinks, what will I gain from this? The gain may be wealth, maybe success, maybe fame, maybe influence, social status, or even heavenly rewards. स्वर्ग की प्राप्ति हो जाएगी. Even that is rajasic then. Although the act itself may be good. किसी को help करना अच्छी act है ना. You help somebody, it's a good act. The mind remains attached to the outcome. That is the problem. Such attachment creates anxiety before the action. Before you take the action, you start thinking, what will I get when I perform this action? So this makes your action rajasic. Pride if successful and disappointment if the expected result is not achieved. The second motive is dambha. Here the purpose is to impress others rather than to please the God. That is dambha. Charity may be given only when cameras are present. People take pleasure in donating one book to some needy student and they will ask someone to take their photograph so that they can upload on the social media. Religious ceremonies may be organized mainly to display their wealth or power or prestige. Even acts of service can become means of self-promotion. If the ego becomes the central focus, then it becomes self-promotion. This does not mean that the public acts of charity or worship are wrong. No, they are not wrong. If others happen to know about our good deeds, there is no harm. Let others know that we have done something good. The problem arises when public recognition makes the primary purpose rather than the devotion or the service. People should praise me. When that becomes the main purpose, that creates the problem. In today's time, this teaching is especially relevant. Social media often encourages people to publicize every charitable act. Sharing inspiring work can certainly motivate others, yes. But if the main intention is to collect admiration, likes on your social media, or the praise from your contacts, the action gradually becomes rajasic. Your focus is getting praise, recognition. The Gita invites us to examine our motives honestly. Are you doing rajasic or doing sattvic? Consider two people who donate the same amount to a hospital. One quietly contributes because he genuinely wishes to help the patients. The other insists that his name be displayed prominently so everyone will admire his generosity. We see these name boards. Externally, both donations appear identical, but spiritually, they are different because of their intention behind giving donation. Lord Shri Krishna reminds us that the God evaluates the heart more than the outward action. What is there in your heart? What intention? That God evaluates more. When worship or charity or service is mixed with ego and expectation, it cannot fully purify the mind. On the contrary, the ego gets bolstered. So it is a counter effect. If your ego becomes high by donating something or by helping somebody, ahankar God doesn't like. By gradually reducing the desire for reward and recognition, our actions become more selfless and more move from Rajasic to level towards purity of Sattvic yajna. So our effort should be to cut down expectation of return reward for every karma that we do during the day. And that will bring us lasting peace, humility, namrata, and spiritual progress. Now, what is tamasic yajna? Next sloka. Vidhihinam mantrahinam dakshinam shraddha virhitam yajnan tamasam parichakshate. Vidhihinam, without following prescribed rules. Asrushtanam, without distributing food or without offering food to the deserving, to the guest or to the priest also, or to the needy after the yajna is performed. Mantrahinam, without sacred chants of mantras or proper understanding of mantras. Adakshinam, without giving dakshina to people, without expressing gratitude through appropriate gifts of or by doing charity. Shraddha virhitam, devoid of faith. You don't have faith in what you are doing, then why are you doing that? Devoid of sincerity, devoid of devotion. Yajnam, that sacrifice, that worship, any sacred act performed as an offering, that yajna tamasam, dominated by quality of tamas. Parichakshate is declared or is called. So God says, a sacrifice, that means a yajna that is performed without following scriptural principles. If the principles say you should wear yellow clothes while doing puja, you will say, I will wear black. No following of the rules. Without offering food, without proper mantras, without clarity, or without doing charity, or without expressing gratitude, and without faith. After performing this kartavya karma, this yajna, I will get spiritual progress. Even that faith is not there. This is declared by God as tamasic. So in the previous two shlokas, Shri Krishna Bhagavan described sattvic and rajasic yajna. In this shloka, he explains tamasic yajna, which is performed in ignorance, ajnan, without understanding, and without the spirit of devotion, no bhakti. The first characteristic of tamasic yajna is vidhihinam. It ignores the principles laid down in the scriptures. If the scriptures say you should take bath and then do puja, they will say, why should I take bath? Yesterday to liya tha bath. I took bath yesterday. Today not necessary. So this does not merely refer to ritual procedures, but also to the ethical values, such as purity. Do you have purity of mind and body? Discipline, truthfulness, and compassion. When worship is performed carelessly or in ways that contradict the righteousness, it loses its spiritual value. The second characteristic is asrushtanam, meaning that food is not shared with others. You are so selfish that you are performing yajna but eating everything by yourselves. You are not offering to others. Traditionally, after yajna, food was offered to guests, to the poor people or participants as prasadam, isn't it? This reminds us that worship should cultivate generosity and sharing. A ceremony performed only for oneself without concern for others becomes spiritually incomplete. That is tamasic. The third characteristic is mantrahinam. Mantras are not magical sounds, they are sacred expressions that focus the mind on the divine. That is the mantra. reciting them carelessly, with improper pronunciation, without understanding or without reverence, it reduces the worship to a empty ritual. You are doing mechanical action. Even if one does not know Sanskrit, sincere prayer with devotion is more meaningful than mechanical chanting. Next comes adakshinam, meaning that no gratitude is expressed. Dakshina expresses appreciation towards the teachers, the guru, the priest who has performed that yajna for you, the helpers who have helped you in performing that yajna, or anyone who contributes to the sacred act of that yajna. It symbolizes humility, namrata, and recognition that spiritual growth is never achieved alone. You have to take all with you. Finally, Shri Krishna emphasizes Shraddha Virahitam, the absence of faith. This is the most serious defect. No Shraddha. Without faith, worship becomes a mere formality or social custom. It may satisfy external expectations, but it does not transform the heart. A modern example is someone who performs an elaborate religious ceremony at home only because of family pressure. Parents कह रहे हैं कर लो पूजा तो कर लेता हूँ यार. Or social prestige. People will sing praises for me. Without devotion, without gratitude, or concern for its true purpose. Such worship may be expensive and impressive also, but it lacks the inner value. You will decorate your house like anything, a lot of guests will come, they will appreciate you, but it lacks the inner value. The central teaching of this shloka is that God is pleased not by the grandeur of your rituals, but by the sincerity of your heart. A simple prayer offered with faith, with humility, and with love is spiritually superior to an elaborate ceremony performed mechanically or without reverence. God has said in 9th Adhyaya also, Patram Pushpam Phalanto Yami Bhaktya Prejati Tadam Bhakti Vardam Ashtami Predatmana. You offer with devotion, leaf of a tree, or a flower, or a fruit, or if anything is not there, a drop of water offer it to the God, but with devotion. So thus Lord Shri Krishna teaches us that essence of every yajna is faith, shraddha, selflessness, gratitude, kritajnata, and adherence to righteous principles. When these qualities are absent, the act becomes tamasic, and it fails to purify the mind or elevate the soul. So what is the use then? Okay, after describing ahar and yajna, now God will focus on the tapa, austerity. Next shloka. देवद्विजगुरु प्राज्ञ पूजनम शौच मार्जवम ब्रह्मचर्य हिंसा च शारीरंतप उच्यते. Deva, God or deities worthy of worship is Deva. Dvija, literally twice born, traditionally refers to learned Brahmins. Brahmins take birth twice. How? Once from the mother, and second when they attain Brahma Jnana. That is their second birth. So Brahmanas are called Dvija. Guru is spiritual teacher. Prajna, the wise enlightened people. Pujanam, worship, reverence. Shaucham, cleanliness. Both external and internal purity is Shaucham. Arjavam is simplicity, sincerity, honesty. Brahmacharyam, self-restraint and disciplined use of one's physical and mental energies is Brahmacharyam. Purity in our conduct is Brahmacharyam. Ahimsa, non-violence, not causing harm through actions. Shariram, relating to body. Tapaha, the austerity, the discipline, or the spiritual practice that purifies. Tapaha, Uchyate is called. So Shri Krishna Bhagavan says, worship of God, reverence to learned teachers and wise persons, along with purity, straightforwardness, self-control, and non-violence, these together are called austerity tapa of the body. So having classified food and yajna in earlier shlokas according to three gunas of Prakriti, Sat, Rajatamo, now Lord Shri Krishna turns to tapa, austerity or disciplined living, that we call tapa. He begins with Sharira tapa. Sharir, Vak and mind, all three are instrumental in performing tapa. So this is Sharirik tapa, the austerity of the body. Tapa does not mean torturing the body. Put a nail from here and take out from here, not that tapa, which you see in Kumbha or Sinhastha Melas. Torturing the body is not tapa, or performing extreme penances is not tapa. It means using the body as an instrument for righteous living and for spiritual growth. The first aspect of bodily austerity is reverence. Shri Krishna mentions Deva, Dvija, Guru and Pradnya. Four constituents: Deva, Dvija, Guru and Pradnya. Respecting God, it cultivates devotion, bhakti. Honoring teachers or gurus and wise people nurtures humility and gratitude. Such reverence reminds us that knowledge and wisdom deserve respect, regardless of a person's social status. He has the knowledge, respect it. The next word is Shaucham or purity. This includes physical cleanliness, hygienic habits, orderly surroundings, and inner purity as well. Achieved through noble thoughts, honest actions. A clean body and environment supports a calm and focused mind. Next is Arjavam or straightforwardness. No political thinking. If he does that, I will do this. If I do this and he does that, then I will do this. No political thinking. Arjavam, straightforwardness, means being genuine in thought, in our speech, in our action. A person practicing Arjavam has no hidden agenda or hypocrisy. These days, before we talk to somebody, we think 10 times. What will be the reaction? If he reacts this way, what I will say? We have some hidden agenda many times. What they think, say, or do are in harmony. Such integrity builds trust and inner peace. Brahmacharyam, next is Brahmacharyam, is often understood as celibacy. No sexual contact is Brahmacharya. But in a broader sense, it means self-control of all indriyas, all senses, and wise conservation of one's physical, mental, and emotional energies. That is Brahmacharya. For householders, it means moderation. Yuktahara viharasya yukta chestasya karmasu, 6th Adhyaya, God says moderation is the key. Fidelity in marriage, that is Brahmacharya. And avoiding excesses that weaken character or distract from the higher goals of life. That is Brahmacharya. Finally, ahimsa or non-violence means refraining from causing unnecessary harm to any living being through physical actions. A dog is sitting at the corner, you are honestly throwing a stone at him. Why? It includes kindness, ahimsa, compassion and sensitivity towards people, animals and nature as well. People are in the habit of walking in the jungle and they will break the branch of tree for no reason. The deeper message of this shloka is that spirituality is reflected in daily conduct. How we talk, how we walk, how we behave, it reflects the spirituality of our mind. True austerity is not measured by how harshly we treat the body, but by how nobly we use it. To torture the body, Geeta never recommends to torture the body. We'll see those shlokas also coming. Every act of respect, every act of cleanliness, honesty, self-discipline, and non-violence, it becomes an offering to the God. Lord Shri Krishna teaches us that when the body becomes an instrument of service, purity, and compassion, it supports the purification of mind and prepares the devotee for higher spiritual realization. consider body as an instrument. The Sharirik Tapa forms the strong foundation upon which all other spiritual practices can flourish. If the body is not well maintained, how can you do other spiritual sadhana? If you're falling sick every alternate day, how can you sit for meditation? Isn't it? So this is Sharirik Tapa. Now Vani ka tapa, Vangmaya. Vak is Vani. Next loka. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyetencha yat swadhyayabhyasananchaivo vangmayan tapa uchyate. Speech that does not disturb others is truthful, is pleasant, is beneficial, and is accompanied by regular study and recitation of sacred scriptures like Bhagavad-Gītā is called austerity of speech. Vani tapa, Vangmaya tapa. So after describing the austerity of body, Sharirik Tapa, Lord Shri Krishna now explains the austerity of speech. Manika Tapa. Among all human abilities, speech is one of the most powerful. It can heal or hurt, unite or divide, encourage or discourage, all because of our speech, our Vani. Therefore, controlling speech is considered as a great spiritual discipline. The first quality of Vangmaya Tapa is Anudvegakaram, speech that does not cause unnecessary agitation. This does not mean avoiding difficult conversations or always saying what others want to hear. Rather, it means expressing even unpleasant truth in a calm, respectful, and compassionate manner without insulting or humiliating others. Second quality is Satyam, truthfulness. Truth is an essential virtue. But the Gita teaches that truth should not become a weapon. Speaking harsh facts merely to wound others' feelings is not spiritual speech. Truth must be balanced with kindness and wisdom. बोलने का तरीका होता है. Therefore, Shri Krishna adds the third and fourth quality. Priya, that is pleasant, and Hitam, beneficial. Ideal speech is not only true, but also loving and useful. Sometimes pleasant words that are false are actually harmful, while harsh truths spoken without compassion can also cause damage. The highest speech combines with truth, kindness, and genuine concern for the listener's welfare. Fifth element is Vangmaya Tapasa is Swadhyaya Visanam. The regular study, recitation, and contemplation of Vishnu Sahasranam or Bhagavad Gita or Ramayana, sacred scriptures, and uplifting literature which takes you spiritually high. Reading the Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads or other noble texts refine our thoughts. And refined thoughts naturally produce refined speech, isn't it? After reading Gita every day, will you speak bad words? Not possible. What fills the mind eventually flows through the tongue. If you have garbage in mind, then the tongue will speak garbage only. If you have Gita in your mind, you will not speak garbage. Not possible. So this teaching is especially relevant in today's digital world. Emails, text messages, WhatsApp messages, social media posts, and online comments are also forms of speech. People have the mobile or tab in their hand and they will start using any foul language against anybody. Before posting or forwarding a message, we must ask 4 questions. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it beneficial? And is it necessary? A simple example is a manager correcting an employee's mistake. Instead of saying, "You are completely incompetent, rubbish, get lost," he says, "There is an error here. Let us work together to improve it." The truth remains the same. That error has happened. But the second approach encourages growth instead of causing humiliation. Lord Shri Krishna teaches that spirituality is reflected in the way we speak. Words spoken with truth, with kindness, with wisdom, and with self-control, they become the instruments of peace. Such speech strengthens relationships, inspires confidence, and purifies the speaker's own mind. अच्छा बोलते तो अच्छा लगता है ना हमको. Thus, वांग्मय तप is वाणी का तप is not merely about speaking less. We don't have to do mauna vrat, but it is about speaking in a way that reflects compassion, that reflects integrity and devotion to the welfare of all. Now, what is manasik tap? Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirati tapo manasamuchyate. Serenity of mind, mana prasada. Gentleness, saumyatvam. Silence, maunam. Self-controls, atma vinigraha. And purity of intention, bhava samshuddhi, are called austerity of mind, manasik tapa. So, having explained the austerities of body and speech, sharirik tap and vani tap, Lord Shri Krishna now describes the highest form of discipline, the austerity of mind, manasik tap. External discipline has great value, but its true purpose is to purify the mind. For the mind is the source of our thoughts, our words, and our actions. So if we take care of our mind, Sharik Tap and Vangmay Tap will happen automatically. Treating our mind is essential. The first quality is Mana Prasada, serenity of mind. This is the ability to remain cheerful and balanced despite life's changing circumstances. That is Mana Prasada. Such peace does not depend on wealth, success, or praise, but it arises from inner contentment and trust in God. Second quality of Manasik Tap is Saumyatvam, meaning gentleness and kindness. A gentle mind is free from hatred, harshness, and revenge. It naturally responds to others with compassion, with patience, and with understanding. Gentleness is not weakness. It is strength guided by wisdom. That is gentleness. Next is Maunam or silence. Shri Krishna's teaching he goes far beyond simply remaining quiet. Real silence means reducing the constant noise of unnecessary thoughts. That is silence of mind. Stopping unnecessary worries, stopping unnecessary judgment, and stopping mental chatter. That is Maunam. We can control Maunam through our tongue, but who will control the Maunam of our mind? God says Maunam of mind is more important than Maunam of your tongue. One may speak little yet have a restless mind, while another may speak when necessary but maintain deep inner silence. The true Mauna is silence of ego and stillness of mind. God is recommending that Mauna. Fourth quality is Atma Vinigraha, self-control. This refers to mastering one's thoughts, emotions, desires, impulses. Instead of reacting immediately with anger or with fear or with greed, a disciplined person pauses, reflects, and responds wisely. Such mastery brings freedom from emotional slavery. Finally, Shri Krishna mentions Bhava Samshuddhim, purity of intention. Spiritual actions lose their value if motivated by jealousy, by pride, by selfishness, or the desire to impress others. A pure heart acts with honesty, with love, and the sincere wish to serve God and humanity. Modern example is of a leader who faces criticism without becoming angry. Modiji get criticism every day. He listens calmly, reflects honestly, corrects genuine mistakes, and remains respectful even towards critics. His peaceful mind influences everyone around him. This is an expression of Manasik Tap. The progression of these three verses, these three shlokas that we have studied is significant. Sharirik, Vani and Manasik Tap. The body performs the action. Speech expresses thoughts. And the mind governs the both body and mind, body and speech. Therefore, mental discipline is the foundation of spiritual life. Mental discipline. Then Sharik discipline and Vachik discipline automatically comes if you have the mental discipline. Lord Krishna teaches that the greatest victory is not over external enemies, but over one's own restless mind. जिसने मन जीत लिया उसने दुनिया जीत ली. When the mind becomes serene, gentle, self-controlled, and pure in intention, the life itself becomes an offering to the divine. Such manasik tap leads to lasting peace, wisdom, and ultimately atmadhyan, self-realization. Okay, continuing further, 70 shloka. Shraddhaya parya taptan tapastat trividendaraihi afalakankshiviryuktai satvikam parichakshate. The threefold austerity of body, speech, and mind performed with supreme faith, Shraddha, by people who seek no reward is regarded as Sattvic Tapa. Sorry, we'll have to sit for a little more today because we have to complete the day. I apologize for that. So in the previous three shlokas, Shri Krishna Bhagavan explained the three kinds of tapa, austerity, that of body, speech, and mind. In this shloka, he tells us what transforms these disciplines into Sattvic Tapa. Sharik Tap can be Sattvic Tap, Rajasic Tap, or Tamasic Tap. So these three varieties of Sattva, Tamo can be applied to Sharirik Tap, Vachik Tap, and Manasik Tap. The answer lies not in the external act, but in the inner attitude. The first requirement is Parashraddha, deep and unwavering faith. Faith does not mean blind faith, blind belief, but a sincere conviction that spiritual discipline purifies the heart and brings one closer to the God. A person with such faith performs spiritual practices joyfully without feeling burdened or compelled. The second requirement is the absence of selfish expectations. Shri Krishna uses the term apalakankshibhi, meaning those who do not seek personal rewards. A person practicing sattvic tapa does not undertake fasting, charity, meditation, or prayer to gain fame or to gain wealth or miraculous power or admiration from others. Instead, these practices are performed because they are inherently noble and pleasing to the divine. This shloka beautifully reinforces one of the central teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The purity of intention is more important than the grandeur of your actions. Two people may perform the same discipline, such as observing fast, for example. One may fast to impress others or gain recognition for being religious. The other fasts quietly to cultivate self-control, gratitude, and devotion. Outwardly, both actions are identical, but spiritually, they are entirely different. The first is influenced by Rajas, while the second is influenced by Sattvic. In today's life, tapas can take many forms. A student studies sincerely every day without seeking constant praise. He is doing a tapa, Sattvic tapa. A doctor serves patient with compassion without expecting appreciation from everyone. A parent sacrifices personal comfort for the welfare of family without keeping a record of favors that he has done so far. These are all examples of Sattvic tapa, provided they are performed with faith, Shraddha, and without attachment to rewards. Another important lesson is that sattvic austerity is never harsh or egoistic. It is balanced, joyful, and life enhancing. It strengthens our character without creating pride, and it deepens devotion, bhakti, without creating intolerance. Shri Krishna teaches us that Shraddha, faith, and selflessness are the soul of all spiritual disciplines. Egoless and Shraddha. When austerity of the body, purity of speech, and discipline of mind are practiced with unwavering faith, Shraddha, and without desire for personal gain, they become sattvic. Such tapas, they purify the heart, reduce the influence of ego, and prepare the seeker for higher wisdom, unwavering devotion, and ultimately union with the God, union with the divine. Next shloka. Satkaramana pujartam tapodamena chaiva yat kriyate tadiha proktam rajasanchalam adhruvam. The austerity tapa that is practiced for sake of gaining honor, respect, worship, or recognition, and with hypocrisy or ostentation, is declared to be rajasic. The results are temporary and unstable. So after describing sattvic tapa, Lord Shri Krishna now explains rajasic tapa. The external discipline may look impressive, but the inner motivation is centered on ego rather than on spiritual growth. Rajasic person may think, people should appreciate my sacrifices. Everyone should know how spiritual I am. The practice itself may be genuine, but the underlying desire like this for recognition reduces its spiritual value. Instead of weakening the ego, it is actually strengthening the ego, counter-effective. So this teaching is especially relevant in today's world of social media, when spiritual activities are performed, often displayed publicly. Sharing an inspiring message or charitable work is not wrong, but the intention, if it is to encourage, if the intention is to encourage others. However, the primary purpose, if it is to gain followers, admiration, or popularity, the practice gradually becomes rajasic. Next shloka. Mudagrahinatmano yat pidya kriyate tapah parasyotsādhanārtham tamas-samudhāratam. The tapa that is performed out of deluded understanding, mudagrahinatmano, by torturing oneself, yat pidya, or with intention of harming others, parasyotsādhanārtham, is declared tamasic. So after describing sattvic and rajasic tapa, Shri Krishna now explains the third and lowest form of tapa, tamasic tapa. This shloka is powerful warning against misunderstanding spirituality. True austerity purifies the mind and strengthens our character. But the false austerity, born out of ignorance, it harms both the individual as well as others. Shri Krishna warns against austerity performed parasyadanatama, with the intention of harming others. Sometimes spiritual practices are misused to seek revenge, manipulate people, or gain destructive powers. Any discipline motivated by hatred, by jealousy, or the desire to cause suffering is tamasic, because it springs from darkness rather than wisdom. Modern example is a person who neglects health, refuses necessary food or medical treatment, believing this to be a sign of holiness, while becoming physically weak and unable to fulfill family or social responsibilities. Another example is someone who uses religious rituals to intimidate, curse, or emotionally manipulate others. Such actions have nothing to do with genuine spirituality. They are tamasic. So thus Lord Shri Krishna reminds us that wisdom must always guide austerity. Tapas performed with ignorance, blind stubbornness, self-torture, or harmful intention is tamasic tapa. Genuine spiritual discipline, it protects life, it purifies the heart, and inspires love, humility, namrata, and service, seva, leading the devotee steadily towards peace and union with the divine, which is our ultimate purpose. Next. Now dan. Datavimiti yaddanam diyate nupakarane deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satvikam srutam. Charity, given with the conviction that it ought to be given. I am not doing favor by doing the charity. It ought to be done to a deserving person at the proper place and at proper time, and without expecting anything in return, is regarded as sattvic dan, sattvic charity. So after explaining three kinds of food, yajna, tapa, Lord Shri Krishna now classifies dana, charity, of three types according to the three gunata prakriti: sattvic dan, rajasic dan, and tamasic dan. He begins with sattvic dan, which is the highest form of giving. Highest form of dana is sattvic dan. The first characteristic of sattvic dan is attitude expressed in the words datavyam. This ought to be given, datavyam. The second characteristic is the gift is offered to an anukampena, or someone who cannot repay the favors. This highlights the selfless nature of sattvic charity. Anupakarane. You are not doing upkara on somebody. Anupakarane. Don't do it with the intention that you are doing great favor to him. You are doing upkara on him. Anupakarane. Someone who cannot repay the favor. This highlights the selfless nature of sattvic charity. Then Shri Krishna emphasizes desha, kal, and patra. The proper place, proper time, and deserving recipient. Giving should be thoughtful and wise. Don't give any Tom, Dick, and Harry standing at the traffic signal. He may take money from you and start smoking. But helping a student with educational expenses, or supporting disaster relief during emergencies, or donating food to the hungry, or assisting a genuine patient in need of your help are genuine examples of charity, offered at the right time and to the right person. Charity should uplift, not encourage dependency or harmful habits. People should not become lethargic. An important lesson is that value of charity lies not merely in its amount, but in its intention. Bhagavad-Gītā also reminds us that charity is not limited to money. We can donate knowledge, we can donate time, we can donate our skill. Our encouragement is also a dan. Our compassion is also a dan. Our forgiveness is also a dan. And even offering a listening ear to somebody is also a charity. A teacher who freely imparts wisdom, or a doctor who treats poor patients without charge, or a volunteer who serves during natural disaster like earthquake or flood, is practicing sattvic charity. Now, what is rajasic charity? Yatya pratyakvarartham phalam addeshya va punaha diyate cha pariklishtan taddanam rajasam satam. Charity that is given with the expectation of receiving something in return. Yatya pratyakvarartham phalam addeshya va punaha. Or with desire for some reward, and given reluctantly, not willingly, reluctantly or unwillingly, is called rajasic charity. So after describing sattvic charity, sattvic dan, in the earlier shloka, Lord Shri Krishna now explains rajasic charity, rajasic dan. Such charity may appear generous from outside, but its motivation is driven by personal gain rather than genuine compassion for others. A rajasic donor thinks, if I help him today, he will help me tomorrow. People should praise my generosity. This donation will increase my business. I will earn the religious merit and enjoy heavenly pleasures. So the focus is not on welfare of recipient, but on the benefit expected by the giver. That is rajasic dana. This teaching has great relevance today. Many people donate for tax benefits, publicity on social media, or political influence, or business networking. These motives are not entirely wrong from a worldly perspective, but they do not purify the heart. True spiritual growth begins when one becomes an expression of gratitude, compassion, and duty rather than a transaction. I give this and you give me that. This is a transaction, no? Therefore, before every act of charity, we should ask ourselves, am I giving to serve or am I giving to receive? The answer determines whether our charity is rajasic or sattvic. So, ideal path is to cultivate the joy of giving without counting returns, trusting that every selfless act enriches the heart far more than any external reward. Such charity, it elevates both the giver and the receiver and becomes a means of spiritual progress. Next sloka. Adeshakali yaddanam apatrebhyascha diyate asattadavajnatam tattamasavadaratam. Now, charity that is given at wrong place or wrong time or to an unworthy recipient is offered without respect or courtesy or sincerity is tamasic charity. Having explained sattvic and rajasic charity, Lord Shri Krishna now describes tamasic charity, which is the lowest form of giving because it is guided by ignorance, ajnan, carelessness, and disrespect. Lord Shri Krishna emphasizes the attitude of giver. Even when the recipient is deserving, charity becomes tamasic if it is accompanied by insult, by humiliation, or by arrogance. Imagine a wealthy person throwing money at a poor person while speaking harsh words or making him feel inferior. Although money has been given, the recipient's dignity has been wounded. Such giving lacks humanity and spiritual merit. Another example is donating old, broken, and useless items simply to clear one's house. We do it many times, no? Without considering whether they are of any value to the recipient. हमको नहीं चाहिए इसलिए आपको दे रहे हैं हम. This is not generosity, but disposal of disguised as charity. In modern life, this teaching reminds us to donate responsibly. Before giving, we should ask 3 questions. Is this the right person to receive? Will this gift genuinely help him? Am I giving with respect and with goodwill? So Lord's message is timeless. True charity is not measured by size of donation, of intention, wisdom of action, the dignity with which it is offered. Next sloka. Om Tatsidi Nirdesho Brahmanastirda Smata Brahmanastena Vedascha Yajnascha Veda Pura. 3 sacred expressions, Om Tat Sat, are regarded as the symbolic names of the Supreme Parabrahma, Om Tat Sat. Since ancient times, the Vedas, the sacred rituals, that means yajnas, and the noble seekers of truth have been established by invoking these divine syllables, Om Tat Sat. Having explained the 3 types of faith, austerity, charity, Lord Shri Krishna now introduces a profound spiritual significance of 3 sacred expressions. Om Tat Sat. In every Pushpika we say Om Tat Sadidi, Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā. So, neither. These are not merely sounds or words. They are symbolic representations of supreme reality. Serve as a reminder that all righteous actions should ultimately be dedicated to God. The first level is Om. It is the most sacred sound in Vedic tradition. It represents infinite Parabrahma, the source, the sustainer, and the dissolver of the universe, the creator, the maintainer, and the killer of the universe. Chanting Om before beginning any noble activity helps quiet the mind and reminds us that every action should begin with divine awareness rather than ego. It transforms ordinary work into an act of worship. When you say Om, it converts into an act of worship. Second expression is Tat. Tat means that, referring to supreme reality. Parabrahma is Tat, which translates names, forms, personal ownership. By remembering Tat, A seeker develops that thing belongs to Tat, to this attachment to the fruits of our action. Third expression is Sat, signifies the truth, the goodness, purity. It reminds us that only actions rooted in truth, sincerity, and righteousness, they possess lasting value. An action may appear successful externally, but unless it is founded on honesty, noble intention, it lacks the Sat. Om Tat Sat is also a Vedic sentence. What does it mean? Om Tat Sat, yes, that is the only truth. Tat means that Parabrahma. Parabrahma is the only Sat. That is the Vedic mantra, Vedic Vakya. Om Tat Sat, yes, Parabrahma is the only truth. Om Tat Sat. Next shloka. Tasmadamita daritya yadanatapakriyaha pravartante vidanokta satatam brahmavadinam. Therefore, God says, therefore, Tasmad, uttering Om, the symbol of Supreme Parabrahma, the seeker of truth, always begins acts of Yajna, Dana, and Tapa are prescribed in our scriptures. In previous shloka, Shri Krishna explained that all are the three sacred designations of the Supreme Parabrahma. In this shloka, he specifically explains the significance of Om in our spiritual practice. The word Om is not merely sound. It is a sacred symbol of divine presence. Uma, creator, maintainer, and destroyer. We can keep on discussing about Om for hours, but time is not there. So thus Lord Shri Krishna teaches that remembrance of Om, it sanctifies every righteous action. It transforms work into worship, service into devotion, and daily life into continuous journey towards spiritual realization. That is the importance of Om in our daily life. That's why people do Om as a daily practice. By beginning every note of the divine, we gradually purify our mind and draw closer to the supreme truth. Next shloka. Tattharvesandhaya phalam yajnatapakriyaha danakriyascha vividah kriyante mokshakangshivihi. Uttering Tat and giving up all expectations of personal reward, seekers of liberation perform sacrifices, austerities, and various acts of charity, yajna tapa, as an offering to the Supreme. So after explaining the importance of Om and Tat, Lord now explains Om, Lord is now explaining the importance of Tat. The word there means that. It points out to supreme reality, that Tattva, that Parabrahma. The expression Abhisandhaya Phalam is the heart of this shloka. It means performing actions without calculating what one will receive in return. Such a person does not think I will gain fame, or people will admire me, or God must reward me for this. Instead, the attitude is, this is my offering to the Supreme. Consider a volunteer who spends weekends teaching underprivileged children without seeking recognition, or a person who quietly donates a worthy cause without revealing his name. Their satisfaction comes from serving, not from applause. This is the spirit of Tat. In modern life, this shloka encourages us to transform our attitude rather than our occupation. Whether we are professionals, or homemakers, or teachers, or doctors, or business people, we can silently dedicate our work to the divine by remembering Tat. This simply changes in perspective. This change in perspective reduces stress or disappointment and pride, because success and failure are no longer seen as positions. Tat belongs to God. Next shloka, 26th. Sadbhave sadbhave cha saditye tat prayujyate prashaste karmne tadha sachabdah partha yujyate. Arjuna, the word Sat is used to denote truth, goodness, purity, and noble existence. It is also applied to righteous person and all auspicious and virtuous actions. So, having explained the significance of Om and Tat, now Lord Shri Krishna reveals the deeper meaning of third sacred expression, Sat. While Om reminds us to begin every noble action with remembrance of God, Tat teaches us to renounce attachment. Sat emphasizes that our actions must always be rooted in truth, in goodness, and in righteousness. The word Sat literally means that which truly exists. Sat. It refers to eternal reality that never changes, and that reality is Supreme Parabrahma. So Tat is that Supreme Parabrahma which never changes. At the practical level, it also signifies honesty, purity, virtue, and everything that uplifts our life. This shloka reminds us that spirituality is not measured merely by rituals or by external appearances. A person may perform elaborate worship, but if they are dishonest in daily life, their actions cannot truly be called Sat. Our actions should also be Sat. On the other hand, a person who sincerely fulfills responsibilities with honesty, with kindness, and with dedication is living in the spirit of Sat. That is Sat. So this shloka teaches us that Sat is much more than a word. It is a way of life, Sat. It encourages us to cultivate truth in our thoughts, goodness in our heart, and righteousness in our actions. Everything we should follow Sat. When our character and conduct it reflects Sat, every aspect of our life becomes an expression of divine, leading us steadily towards inner peace and spiritual realization, Atmadhyan. Last two shlokas now. Yadne tapasi dane cha sthit karma chevadarthiyam saditeva vidiyate. Steadfastness in sacrifice, yajna, in austerity, tapa, and in charity, dana, is called Sat. Likewise, every action for supreme truth is also called Sat. So in the previous shlokas, Shri Krishna explained that Sat signifies truth, goodness, noble character, and righteous action. In this shloka, he expands the meaning further by teaching that constancy and sincerity in spiritual practices are themselves expressions of Sat. The key word here is sthiti, meaning steadfastness or firmness. Shri Krishna emphasizes that it is not enough to perform a noble act once in a while. Real spiritual growth comes through consistent practice. Whether it is yajna, selfless service or worship, it is dana, charity, or it is tapa, self-discipline. These should become regular habits, not once in a while action, rather than occasional activities. Second half of this shloka introduces another important idea. Karma chevadarthiyam. Any action performed for the sake of the Supreme, while the intention of serving God and upholding dharma is called Sat. This means spirituality is not confined to rituals or to meditation. Every duty, whether performed at home or in the workplace, in the society, can become sacred if it is dedicated to God. Consider a mother who lovingly prepares meal for her family with gratitude to God, or a teacher who educates students with sincerity, or again a doctor who serves patients with compassion and with integrity. These daily responsibilities become Sat when they are performed as an act of worship rather than mere obligations. Thus, Sri Krishna teaches us that Sat is both the quality and the continuity of righteous living. When we remain steadfast in selfless service, in charity, in discipline, and all actions, then all of our actions get dedicated to divine, our entire life becomes an expression of truth, Sat. Such consistent, God-centered living, it purifies the heart, strengthens our faith, and steadily leads us towards peace, wisdom, moksha, liberation. Last shloka. Ashraddhaya hodandattan tapastaptam kritam yat asitchita ipartha nachitat pretya no iho. Arjuna, whatever sacrifice, charity, austerity, or any action is performed without Shraddha, without faith, is called asat, unreal or spiritually fruitless. No use if no Shraddha. You perform yajna, dan, tapa, but without any Shraddha, God says it is all useless. Shraddha is topmost important. Such actions bring no lasting benefit either in this world or after death. Nachitat pretya no iho. So this concluding shloka of 17th Adhyaya summarizes one of the most important teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The value of any action depends not only on the action itself, but on the faith, Shraddha, and the Shri with which it is performed. Lord Shri Krishna declares that sacrifice, yajna, charity, dan, and austerity, tapa, or any other sattvic deed performed without Shraddha is called asat. Here, Shraddha does not mean blind belief. It means wholehearted sincerity, inner conviction, reverence, and the willingness to perform one's duty with purity of heart. That's Shraddha. A person may donate a large sum of money merely because of social pressure or for religious rituals, simply to maintain appearances. Outwardly, these actions may seem impressive, and mind is indifferent. They fail to produce spiritual growth. Such actions become mechanical, lacking the power to transform the individual. Consider two people volunteering at a community kitchen, for example. One serves joyfully, seeking every person as a manifestation of God. I am serving God. The other, he serves reluctantly, complaining throughout and waiting only for recognition. Both perform the same task of serving the food, but the inner attitude makes all the difference. The first action is sat, while the second moves towards asat, because there is no Shraddha. It lacks genuine devotion and faith. In modern life, this shloka teaches us to focus not merely on doing, but on how and why we do it. Whether praying or working or helping others or studying or caring for our own family, let every action be performed with attention, honesty, and heartfelt dedication. So thus this Adhyaya concludes by reminding us that Shraddha is the soul of all spiritual practices. Wealth, knowledge, rituals, and discipline become meaningful only when supported by sincere faith. When faith fills our actions, ordinary duties become divine duties, sacred offerings to the God. Character is transformed, and life itself becomes a path towards God with our Shraddha. This is the enduring message of this chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yoga. Jai Shri Krishna to all. Thank you very much for your patience. Now the forum is open for your questions. Feel free to ask your questions.
Okay, that was an enlightening session, and Bhaiya dealt in detail. He discussed in detail to make us understand the shlokas learned this week. The lessons to learn were profound with regard to yajna, dana, and tapa. Please note that the next new L1 batch is starting on August 7th. Please share the link of this revision to your loved ones. We will be seeing more of, Bhaiya, for the questions, for the question answers. Yeah, let me ask everyone who wants to ask question to raise their hands and wait for their turn. Yeah, Bhaiya, over to you, Bhaiya. Yeah. Didi, can you unmute the Girijaji? Yeah.
Jai Shri Krishna, Bhaiya. What is the meaning of
Jai Shri Krishna.
ijyate and Uchyate. What is the difference between the two?
Uchyate is said to be. Uchyate is said to be. Ijjate is to perform puja. That is ijjate. And uchyate is to say something.
Uchyate is to say something, and ichyate is to wish for something.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, no. Ijjate is to perform puja. Ijjate.
to perform. Okay. Thank you, Vaidya.
Yeah, yeah.
Vishwanath ji, can you unmute? Bhaiya?
Any other questions, please?
Yeah. Vishwanath ji.
Namaskar, Namaskar, Tumara. We met at Sydney.
Namaskar, Vishwanath ji.
We met at Sydney when you were here.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Oh, yeah,
Now,
yeah,
sir,
we met in Sydney.
I
remember,
think,
yes.
I'm
Very
just
wonderful
talking.
Gita Parayana that day.
Yes, yes. To me, you have actually changed me a bit, but for a good, it's going in the right way. Just a humble request. The explanation with which you give,
Yeah.
with examples, etc., can it be transformed into a workbook? So, for example, I want to read your notes, your lectures in words for me every second day on a chapter.
Mhm.
Because it is, why am I doing it? For inner transformation. So I have to change
Right.
for the better is what I am thinking. And that way, if Geeta Pariwar is thinking of having workbooks wherein people read the workbooks in such a way the explanation is given in practical terms, then it will help them change, is my thought. I just stayed back. It's nearly past 11 o'clock here, but I stayed back just to listen to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Vishwanath ji. So nice of you to
Mm.
remain awake just for listening
Mm.
Bhagavad Gita. Great. See,
No,
what
but
you suggested.
to your practical explanation is what is more important.
Yes. Now, what you have suggested,
Mm.
every word of that Vivijjan that is spoken today is getting converted into YouTube as well as in the text. So all the thoughts that
Yes,
are
as long
expressed,
as it is available in the text, then you can read when you're traveling in the bus, when you're going,
available.
"Arey yaar, padho yaar."
Yes, yes. You can click on vivijjan.learngeeta.com and can see every Vivijjan in the text form, in the PDF form.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Because that is one way to read one chapter every day, because your vivachans are given with examples, with the result that it becomes easier to have a mental thought as to how to change.
Yeah, I could have told many stories,
Thank you very
but
much.
there was no time. Anyway, thank you so much for
Yes, sir.
joining. Jai Jai. Any other questions, please?
Yeah, Kavita Prabhakar ji.
Hare Krishna, Bhaiya.
Hare Krishna.
Bhaiya, I want to know what is the meaning of Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari is your inviting God, calling him by name Hari. One who hijacks your mind is Hari. Haran karna means to hijack. He hijacks our mind. And we are saying Om Tat Sat, Hari, Om Tat Sat, Hari. That means Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Hari, Om Tat Sat. We discussed Om Tat Sat is a Vedic sentence. Yes, you are the only truth.
Hari is the only truth.
Hari is the only truth.
Okay. Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you.
Ankita ji. Ankita ji.
Bhaiya, what is your Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha?
Huh?
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
You are doing Namaskar to Paramatma.
Hmm.
We are chanting Om first. We are focusing our thoughts on Om, Om, the creator, the mentor, and the destroyer, and Paramatma, that is Paramatma who creates, maintains, and destroys. And we are offering Nama. Nama is to offer obeisances, to offering Namaskaram to him. So Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Okay, Bhaiya, thank you.
Okay. So any more questions? No more questions. So thank you, Bhaiya, for the wonderful Vivijjan as well as answering and clearing the doubts of all our sadhaks. Yeah, so we'll move forward. We'll be seeing more of this in coming sessions. Now it's time for, sorry, that's over. Yeah, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Vikas Vaidya ji for clearing the doubts of our sadhak. On behalf of Geeta Pariwar and myself, I extend sincere thanks to the technical team consisting of Sandhya ji and all those who have been at the backstage for the relentless and efficient efforts in making the session a great success. May I take this opportunity to thank all those who attended the session. Please do continue your Gita sadhana and attend these sessions to enrich your spiritual knowledge. Today, Vasant Ingoleji from Chhatrapati Sambhaji Nagar is going to recite Prarthana to submit today's Vivechan at the lotus feet of Krishna Paramatma. Joined Gita Pariwar in June 2023. Vaidya is co-trainer as well as examiner. Let's invoke the blessings of Bhagavan Krishna. Vaidya, please.
Jai Shri Krishna Dada. Jai Shri Krishna Didi. Jai Shri Krishna Dada.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Yeah. Yogesham. Yeah. Vaidya.
Yogesham Sachidanandam Vasudevam Vrajapriyam Dharma Samsthapakam Virang Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Shri Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Jai Shri Krishna Sabhi ko. Jai Shri Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Vaidya, for that prayer. Now it's time for Hanuman Chalisa. I request each one of you to be present for Hanuman Chalisa. Yeah. Didi, please.
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारि बरनउ रघुबर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचारि बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र ध्वजा विराजय कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजय शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिंहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही समभाई सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावै अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीना तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानू प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होतन आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक हाकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवै महावीर जब नाम सुनावै नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावै मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावै सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा जिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै सोई अमित जीवन फल पावै चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नो निधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावै अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई संकट कटई मिटई सब पीरा जो सुमिरई हनुमत बलबीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई जो यह पढ़ हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुर भूप सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय.
Thank you all for being there till now. May our week ahead be brighter and more beautiful. We shall see you back on another enlightening session next week. Till then, Jai